Yo, what's going on everyone? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another T2 video. So today was the big day. Bungie revealed a bunch of stuff for episode 2 and even some stuff beyond episode 2, which looks actually pretty cool. But we're not gonna talk about some of that stuff today, because in this video we're actually gonna talk about some of the new seasonal mods that are coming with episode 2. We got a really good look at the majority of the mods, so I figured that I should talk about the ones that I think are good and the ones that I'm pretty much the most excited about to use in my builds next season essentially. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into it. Let's take a look at some of these mods. So first of all, let's start with some of those anti-champion weapons that we're going to be having next season. The first one is Anti-Barrier Scout Rifle. It returns once again, and so will the Polaris, I'm guessing. Last time it was Anti-Barrier Scout Rifle, the Polaris just kind of took over the game with all the ignitions. So while I don't think it's probably going to be that good as it was in last season, it is still going to be a pretty fantastic weapon to run with Anti-Barrier Scout. But the mods this season actually cater a lot more towards stasis, where actually it looks like we're going to be heading into a stasis season, which is something that I have asked for a very long time. Now another anti-barrier option is going to be Anti-Barrier Shotgun. Yes, you heard that right, Anti-Barrier Shotgun. And I'm pretty sure this is like the very first time we see this mod. The only other time I remember shotguns being like an anti-champion weapon was like Unstoppable Shotgun. But yeah, we're going to be having Anti-Barrier Shotgun, so you're going to be able to get up close and personal with those barriers and pretty much destroy them with some of the shotguns, including the new one, that new aggressive burst shotgun we saw in some of the gameplay that they showed off. That one looks pretty cool. But yeah, Anti-Barrier Shotgun coming next season. And the last one of these that I want to talk about is going to be Overload Breach Loaded Grenade Launcher, which I know it's a very long name. That's because it only affects grenade launchers that are primary or special ammo. That's it. So the heavy grenade launchers will not be able to use this mod. They actually have a different mod that we'll talk a little bit later. So yeah, the breach loaded grenade launchers are going to be your overload weapon next season. I can see this being pretty annoying with a couple of champions, especially since overloads are the teleporting ones. They love to teleport around. So this is going to be very interesting. I think I'm going to have to spend all season basically shooting the ground to be able to hit those overloads. But it should still be pretty good, especially with some of the other grenade launcher mods that we're going to see. The next perk I want to take a look at is one with the Frost. Well, you have Frost Armor active, Stasis weapons gain increased reload speed, and stability, and Stasis swords gain increased guard resistance. This one I think is going to be pretty good. It's not really going to be like a main perk. I could definitely see people running this one with their Stasis builds, especially since so early on. This is probably one of the ones that you're going to equip and just never take off. After that, we're going to have Killing Breeze. Rapid weapon final blows grant you bonus mobility. And I wonder if that actually counts as like movement speed, or it means mobility the stat, where it just bumps your mobility up a bit. I hope that is the movement speed and sprint speed, just so you can feel a little faster after getting some kills. That would be the best of the two. After that, we kind of have another one of those grenade launcher perks, and is Rapid Impact. Dealing damage to a grenade launcher temporarily increases the reload speed of grenade launchers. And I'm wondering if this is gonna work with all grenade launchers, including heavy, since it doesn't really specify like breach loaded grenade launchers like some of the other mods do. I hope that that's the case, and if you do any damage with a grenade launcher, it's just gonna increase the reload speed on all of them. That would be really good, and this is gonna go super well with some more of the grenade launcher mods. But yeah, essentially all your grenade launchers are just gonna be reloading faster, and it just kind of adds more to the grenade launcher with all the mods that it's got this season. It's definitely going to be the season of stasis and grenade launchers. So hopefully you guys have a good grenade launcher. But if you don't, I'm definitely going to have a list later this week where I just go over some of the best ones. The next perk that we have is Windchill, and this one essentially gives you Frost Armor whenever you hit some precision hits with stasis weapons. And if you use the seasonal weapons with the Dark Ether Reaper origin trait, you'll get even more stacks of Frost Armor. I can pretty much say that this armor mod is going to be pretty popular, very easy to proc. Frost Armor is pretty strong with the damage resistance, and also all the other stasis mods are going to be there, so stasis builds are going to be hot, which is pretty ironic. But yeah, everyone's going to want to run a stasis build, and this is going to be a very easy way to pretty much always have Frost Armor. This is also the first perk that has a boost, which is not something we have seen on some of the other perks, but this has to do with the new tonics. That whenever you activate a certain tonic, it activates bonus effects on your artifact perks. Like for this one, whenever you do damage with stasis weapons to slow targets, they have a chance to spawn a stasis shard. So it's basically just like a bonus on top of it to make the mod do even more stuff. After that, we're gonna have Concussion Reload, using a grenade launcher to damage a boss, a champion, or break a combatant's shield, weakens them. And this is pretty much like the evolution of Breach and Clear. If you were around when that mod was around, it essentially just debuffs things with your grenade launcher. It doesn't say that it has to be like a breach loaded grenade launcher, so I'm hoping that that just means that it's every single grenade launcher. And this one also comes with a boost. Whenever you use a grenade launcher to damage bosses, champions, or break combatant shields, it automatically reloads our stowed weapons. And this one is one that's definitely going to be worth using. Just hitting something with your grenade launcher, reloading your other weapons, especially if you have multiple grenade launchers, I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be amazing for basically never having to reload your weapons and just doing a ton of damage in the process, because every time you're hitting something, you're going to be weakening them. The next mod that we have after that is Total Carnage. After finishing a powerful combatant, we gain temporary damage resistance. And if we're wearing 2 or more Shade Stalker pieces, which I think is going to be like seasonal armor, after finishing a powerful combatant, we gain damage resistance, and also we replenish our health. So this mod is actually all about finishing enemies, and funnily enough, it is actually not even the only one in the artifact. So it looks like Bungie is definitely pushing us to finish more enemies this season, and we might actually have to do a build with finishing enemies, as weird as that sounds, because of all the different mods that are coming in the next artifact. The next mod is Power from Pain. Rapid final blows against weakened combatants grant you Devour, and the boost version of it will make it so whenever you rapidly defeat weakened combatants, you spawn some Void Breaches. I think that this mod right here has a lot of potential, and I'm actually really excited for this one. I just have to remember all the things that weaken, so we can come up with a good build. I have one in mind already for the Warlock, but I kind of wanted to get one going on the Hunter. But yeah, I definitely think that this one's going to be pretty good, but you are going to have to essentially build around it. After that, we have Trace Evidence. Rapid precision hits or rapid final blows on targets affected by Jolt or Blind will generate Ionic Traces. And for the boosted version of it, whenever you pick up those Ionic Traces, you gain Armor Charge, which is going to be really good for arc builds. This whole mod is essentially for arc builds, which is interesting. It looks like we're mostly going to be getting arc and stasis stuff. Definitely focus more towards stasis, but there is a couple of mods that mention arc. Now for the next mod, we have Armor of Aramis. While Frost Armor is active, taking critical damage from combatants causes you to emit a freezing burst. And the boosted version increases the radius and strength of the freezing burst. And I'm really wondering just how big this burst is going to be, especially because how high you see it's going to be to have Frost Armor next season. This has the potential to be a really good mod, especially if you're on a build that's a little more close and personal, closer to the enemies. I could definitely see this being handy. Next up, we have Hail the Storm. Shattering Stasis Crystals releases shards of ice that damage and slow targets, and the boosted version of it, whenever you shatter some targets and stasis crystals, they do increase damage. This one's just gonna be good for the stasis builds. Essentially, if you're building around shatter and stasis crystals, this is pretty much the mod that you want to have on. Now this next one's another one of those finishing ones, is Debilitating Wave. Finishers emit a damage wave that matches the element of your currently equipped super, and for the boosted version, whenever you have an arc, void, or stasis super equipped, the blast also applies blind, weaken, or slow. For this one, I'm basically wondering the same thing as with the Armor of Aramis, just how big is that wave of damage, and like how many enemies are going to be blinded or weakened or slow. If it's a really small wave, then it might not really be worth it, but if it's in a bigger area, you know, a medium to large area, I think it could definitely be pretty good, especially with the weaken, since we had that other mod that whenever you kill some weakened targets, it gives you Devour. So I could definitely see this working really well with that other mod. Now for the next one, we have Retino Burn. Rapid arc weapon precision hits consume an armor charge to blind targets. So this essentially is going to be a very easy way to blind targets. And for the boosted version, instead of just blinding one target, it will do a blinding burst that can blind multiple targets. So the boosted version here, I definitely think is going to be worth it, since you're going to be using your armor charge, but it's going to be an AoE effect. I can definitely see this one being really good and leading to some pretty fun arc blind builds. Next though, we have Kinetic Impacts. Sustained damage with a power grenade launcher causes the combatant to emit a shockwave that damages nearby combatants. This shockwave can stun unstoppable champions. So it seems like the heavy grenade launchers are also going to be pretty good for dealing with champions and doing some damage as well if it does work with the mod that weakens targets. Because if we use that and a heavy grenade launcher, it's over. We're about to head into the grenade launcher season. We're all going to be using grenade launchers and we're going to love it. Now after that we have Surf Coal. Picking up a Stasis Shark grants you class ability energy, and picking up a Void Breach grants you melee energy. I can see this being a pretty good mod for like Void or Stasis builds. It's just something that helps your build out. And the last mod that we're going to take a look at is going to be Conductive Cosmic Crystal. Your arc abilities, Void abilities, and weapons with the Dark Ether Reaper origin trait do bonus damage against targets that are affected by stasis. This is going to be either a top tier mod or a mod that is just nice to have. Because applying stasis debuffs is usually pretty easy. The Warlocks are definitely going to be the best ones with their Bleak Watchers, but usually you don't really struggle to put a stasis debuff on a target like Slow. So depending on the damage, it's either going to be a must have or just something nice to have. And the boosted version of it will increase the bonus damage to combatants that are affected by the stasis buff. So it's going to increase that bonus damage even more. You know, we're just going to have to wait on the numbers, but I could definitely see this being a pretty good artifact perk for pretty much any time that you're using Void or Arc abilities. But I can definitely see this being a really good artifact perk, especially on Prismatic, where you can combine Stasis with Arc or Void abilities. This would be definitely really good, especially on Warlock now that I think about it. You know, the Warlocks are really going to have so many different builds that are going to be good this next season. But with that one, that's going to be the final mod that we're going to talk about today. They should be revealing a couple more, and of course as we go through the acts, we're going to be getting more and more artifact mods, but we're going to go through those once they do get revealed. We probably won't see the Act 2 and 3 weapon mods for a while, but there's definitely a lot here that we can work with to make some builds happening, so hopefully you guys are ready for that. We're going to take a look at the new weapons, and hopefully on the first week, put out at least one build for each of the characters. A Warlock one, a Titan one, a Hunter one, maybe a couple of Warlock ones from what I'm seeing here. But anyways, thank you for stopping by, thank you for checking out the video. Let me know in the comments below what is your favorite mod and the one that you're looking forward to the most. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good rest of the day. Peace everyone.